updated chart on the metal to metal uh, coins and value uh, comparison charts here. I wanted to go over what I think the original monetary value was between silver and gold when our Constitution was written, and it's stated that only silver and gold can be used as money. And I think this is how they matched value of silver and gold to each other. We had our one silver dollar coin. That's what our $1 Federal Reserve note bill should represent, is one silver dollar coin, but it doesn't anymore. It should, but it doesn't. And so we have the $1, the $5, the $10, the $20, the $50, the $100, the $500. These are these numbers all represent dollars of silver. 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 500. These are all dollars of silver. So our $20 bill used to equal the value of a 1 ounce gold coin. The $20 bill could be redeemed for a 1 ounce gold coin. So I'm guessing that this is how they compared uh, the value of silver to gold by making our $100 bill equal the same value as 5 ounces of gold, and $500 bill would equal 25 ounces of gold. So 500 silver dollar coins would equal the value of 25 1 ounce gold coins, pretty much. You'd have 25 1 ounce gold coins. So that's the value that I believe, the founding fathers originally gave the gold and silver monetary system. But the problem was that the King of England and all they were hoarding gold and silver. There was a scarcity of gold and silver coins in the colonies because England was taxing them and hoarding and taking their coin, basically taking payments of taxes in their gold and silver coins, and they weren't spending them back into the economy. They were hoarding them, and that made coins more scarce, and they had to come up with a solution to try to fix the poverty and the problems that was causing. So they came up with the first the colonial script dollar or whatever, and that's when they started printing their colonial script paper money that was interest free, and it was just there to make trading easier. But the Union ended up printing too many of them and ended up inflating them, the value of them, the trade value that they had anyway, to pretty much nothing. So that didn't work. So I have a different solution. Instead of using paper at all, I don't think we should use paper at all unless it actually represents a specific value of a precious metal, and that would give the paper currency value. But we use a fiat currency today. It's not linked to anything of value. The Federal Reserve banknote has no value to it because it doesn't represent one silver dollar anymore. It's a one Federal Reserve banknote. It is a bill of credit given to the Treasury by the Federal Reserve in exchange for a Treasury bond that had a value, another made of. It's like what happens is the Treasury makes up a bond with a quote unquote Federal Reserve note dollar value to it, like say 1 billion Federal Reserve note dollars, and they make a bond for that, and it has a expiration date with and when that bond expires, it has a percentage of interest that must be paid back with the Federal Reserve dollar amount that the bond represents. So if it represents $1 billion of Federal Reserve notes, then you have to pay that back plus whatever interest it says on the bond when it expires. So that's what our national debt is. It's just a bunch of Treasury bonds with a made-up Federal Reserve banknote value to it that the Treasury traded to the Federal Reserve for a bunch of individual Federal Reserve banknote dollars, So they traded one piece of paper that had a total amount of Federal Reserve notes that it represented, and the Federal Reserve gave individual Federal Reserve notes for that one bond that represented all of them. So they just did a paper swap. That's all they did. That's all they do when they create new currency to spend into the economy. The Treasury trades a bond to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve gives them Federal Reserve notes that equal the value that the Treasury slaps on that bond, and then the U.S. government then spends the Federal Reserve notes into the economy for, you know, public projects, um, Social Security, mostly military spending, uh, whatever, basically everything that they spend, all of government spending comes from uh, the 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 taxes that people are forced to pay and the bonds that the Treasury makes up and trades to the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve notes that the Treasury gets for bonds and the taxes it takes from the people all go towards government spending, mostly towards the military and defense budgets. But I think that the Federal Reserve is not necessary, and the White House and the whole executive branch of our government is not necessary. All we would need is Congress, and Congress's ability, or the power that Congress has to coin money. I don't know why Congress gave that power to the Federal Reserve, a private, foreign, foreign private bank owned by foreigners. Yeah, Congress had the power to coin money, and this is the monetary coin system that I think Congress should create. Instead of using just gold and silver, we're going to add aluminum, copper, titanium, and platinum to our uh, metal, possible metal coins, and this is how the value of those um, coins of these metals should equal each other. So we start off with 14 grams of aluminum equals the same value as 7 grams of copper, that equals the value of 3.5 grams of titanium, and it equals the value of 1 gram of silver and 1/28 of a gram of platinum. So you see how this works. Each line has are all the same value. This is all one value. This is all one value. Each line is all the different amounts of the different metals, and they all and the value that they equal. So 1 gram of gold equals the same value as 2 grams of platinum, and those equal the value of 2 ounces of silver. 2 ounces of silver equals the same value of 8 ounces of titanium. 8 ounces of titanium equals the same value as 16 ounces of copper and 32 ounces of aluminum. See, all these are equal in value. All these are equal in value. So this is how I think our monetary system should be updated into this kind of a medium of exchange. I it would be I know it would be weird having to carry around metal coins instead of paper. I know paper is a little bit easier to carry around than metal coins, but if you think about it, carrying around just 2 grams or a few grams of silver or a partial gram of gold, I mean, you have 1 gram of gold, that equals a lot of value. That's like, what? If an ounce of gold is 28 grams, and it equals close to 2,000 Federal Reserve note dollars today, that means that 1 gram of gold probably is like, what, 150, 180 Federal Reserve note dollars. So that's what silver's value should be. See, 1 ounce of silver should equal the value of 1 gram of gold. I don't know what 1 gram of gold equals in Federal Reserve notes currently today. It's what is it, like? I think it's like June. I forget. I'm not sure what the date is. It's somewhere in June here in 2023. But this is how the value of the metals should be compared to one another, not compared to the Federal Reserve banknote that's not linked in. Like the Federal Reserve banknote should supposed to be linked to something that has value, and that way when you trade the Federal Reserve note, it has a specific value to it, and you match that value to the products and services that you want to buy with the money. The money needs to have a linked value to it, a set linked value that you trade the matched value of what you want to trade for. That's how you determine value. Like, think about this for a second. If you have a car, how much in gold, how many gold ounces would you want to buy this car for? You'd have like 10 gold ounce bars would equal the value of this car. Or say 30 ounces of silver equal the value of this bicycle. Doesn't that make sense? Can't you see how the value, you can see the value comparison there? You have 30 ounces of silver. You can see the value of that, how it would equal the value of, say, a brand new bicycle product. Or a certain number of gold ounces would equal the value of a car. Now, doesn't that make sense? Gold bars equal the value of a car. Now, why would a stack of paper that has numbers on it equal the value of a car? Like, what value does the paper have to equal the value of the car if the paper is not linked to anything of value? The paper has no physical value to it. Not like these precious metals have a physical intrinsic value to them, because they can be used to construct things. Silver and gold and platinum, copper, aluminum, they can all be used in the construction of electronic apparatuses. And we can build things and construct things out of these precious metals, and that's what gives them value, intrinsic value. That's why it makes sense to use these metals to trade with, because they all have that value to them, and that value never dissipates over time. It stands the test of time. These metals hold their value over long periods of time because they can always be used to construct technology with them, or any kind of electrical technology or what have you. Paper with numbers on it that represents nothing. The paper itself has no real usefulness whatsoever, so the value there's no value there. A Federal Reserve banknote that's not linked to anything of value has zero value. Whatever the value of the paper is, that's the value it has. If it was linked to one Federal Reserve note dollar, if it was linked to one silver dollar, then the one Federal Reserve note dollar would have a value of $1 in silver. And then you could use that value to trade with. So our money needs to have a set value to it in order to trade for something of matched value. That's what money is supposed to be, and how it's supposed to be traded with, how it's supposed to be used. It's supposed to have a set value, and that set value is used to trade for whatever you want to buy or trade that for with a matched value. Say I have 10 1-ounce gold coins and I wanted to buy an old used car. That makes the value of the gold matches the value of the car. The value of paper with numbers on it would never match the value of a car, physically speaking. Never. Paper does not have any intrinsic value to it. It has no usefulness other than to use to write on, or use for other bathroom purposes, you could say. Precious metal coins have intrinsic value that withstand the test of time. They hold their value over long periods of time. And by using more metals into our monetary system, as platinum, titanium, copper, and aluminum, makes it much more difficult to hoard and make scarce all of these metals. So even if gold and silver got hoarded and made scarce, we'd still have these other four metals to use as a medium of exchange, and we could continue our voluntary trading, and our economy would be able to continue selling services and products in the marketplace. So this would be a much more proper and secure way of having a medium of exchange in our economy, and it would stabilize our monetary system and its value that it would have at that point, versus the Federal Reserve note that we use today is not linked to anything of value. It hasn't been since 1971. It's temporarily been taken away. It's like President Nixon temporarily took away convertibility of the dollar into gold in 1971, and it's still temporarily, it's still on that temporary time. Whatever. There's no expiration date on it. He never gave an expiration date. It's kind of funny how they give us expiration dates on our driver's licenses and all of our stuff, but for the convertibility of the dollar into gold, there is no expiration date for that temporary suspension. It probably never will be temporarily suspended. So I'm making this video to show what I think our monetary system should be, with precious metal coins like this in denominations and values just like this, to be able to use in buying products and services, or use in voluntary exchange with each other for trading. And that, if we started to do that, you would see that our financial and economic trading and everything in our economy and in the marketplace, when it comes to purchasing, sales, and just demand for products and stuff, everything would just stabilize after that if we started using a real precious metal monetary system like this, instead of using this fake fiat currency that only benefits the Treasury and the Federal Reserve, because they're the ones that create the money. They create the paper banknotes and they trade them with each other, and so when they're the ones who get to spend it into the economy first. That means that they get the full face value of these pieces of paper that they just print out of nothing, and they can go and they can hoard products and services in the economy at no expense to them whatsoever, because all they did was print out these pieces of paper, swap them with each other, and then all of a sudden they got a bunch of banknotes they can go and purchase stuff out of the economy with, when they didn't do any real work or physical labor to gain those banknotes to begin with. So they're just printing their own made up wealth that the rest of the people in the country are just going in compliance to. If the people of the country altogether decided to not use the Federal Reserve note anymore and start to use precious metals as money, as long as we don't try to counterfeit the Federal Reserve note and try to use dollars, and we used grams and ounces like this, it wouldn't be counterfeit. Where ounces are not dollars, grams are not dollars. If we tried to make dollars, that would be counterfeiting the Federal Reserve note. But since these are in denominations of ounces and grams and such, that's not conflicting with the quote-unquote dollar, and it could not be classified as counterfeiting it. See, if we tried to copy the Federal Reserve note dollar, that's counterfeiting. But this is not counterfeiting, because we are coming up with our own metal denomination and our own metal value comparison here in grams and ounces. Grams and ounces would not be counterfeiting the dollar. Okay, so alright, hopefully this is easy to understand, and man, it would be quite something if the country could start learning to adopt this kind of a monetary system. And it wouldn't be that difficult to transfer over into that system, because all you need to do is start pricing your goods and services in these metals right here. Like saying something that's worth $20 $20 Federal Reserve note dollars today, you would also price that product or that service that's worth 20 Federal Reserve note dollars with 1 gram of silver. You would have 20 Federal Reserve note dollars price tag, and along with that price tag, you would have a 1 gram coin price tag as well. You'd have both price tags, Federal Reserve note and silver, or whatever the value that you gave your product with these metal coins. You also have this Federal Reserve note price tag there too. So you're pricing your goods and services in Federal Reserve notes, but also in these metals as well. You have 2 price tags, in one of the metals and one of the Federal Reserve note, and you accept either or. And slowly over time, people will transition out of Federal Reserve notes because they'll realize that they're trying to buy something that doesn't have any value. They're trying to purchase with something that doesn't have any value to it. And as more people start to use these metals to buy products and service with, they'll start to realize that these things are the things that really have value, not the paper. So all you'd have to do is make additional prices on top of the Federal Reserve note price tag that you give all your goods and services. You just have to have an additional price tag with all those goods and services with these metals and these denominations of metals as well. So that way you can make change, and you can, trade 2 grams of gold for 16 ounces of titanium. You can trade one amount of metal for another, one more valuable metal for a less value metal, and make change with it. And that's how this would work. Okay, so there's my layout on what our monetary system was, what I think it should be, and I believe that we should do all in our power to overthrow the Federal Reserve and their fake fiat currency that they throw onto us and make us use to spend in our economy, because that shit's got to go. We're supposed to promote fairness and justice. What's fair about somebody trading a bunch of pieces of paper that have no value to them for something that has value, like a car? Like, you trade this stack of paper that has a bunch of numbers on it for that car. Like, how do you match a stack of paper's value to the value of a car? That makes no sense. But if you have, say, 10 1-ounce gold coins, and you want to trade those 10-ounce gold coins for a car, that makes sense. The 10 ounces of gold, there's value there, and that value can match the value of the car. Makes it a lot easier to understand the value of things when you compare it to something that actually has real value. The reason most people don't understand what the value of things are is because we don't have a monetary system that has any value. So, okay, I guess my light just cut out. Oh, there we go. Alright, so thank you for watching. Have a nice day, and hopefully we can overthrow the Federal Reserve and start our own country's monetary system, a medium of exchange that belongs to the people and not a bank owned by private foreigners. That is a mistake.